What's up guys, and welcome back. Today in this video we're going to be doing another book review. This time we're steering away from the Stephen King for once, and we're going to be talking about Ernest Cline's Ready Player One. Now this book was released in 2011 I believe, and it's around 374 pages long. So the premise of Ready Player One is that in the near future everything has gone to shit basically, and people live in these like stacks of caravan things in junkyards, and a genius named James Halliday has created this virtual reality experience which started off as a video game but is now encompassing the whole real world. Like people work in there, their jobs are in there, their whole livelihoods in there, and just that's how they escape reality. They go in there, they be someone else, they do whatever they want. In James Halliday's Dying Wishes, he reveals sort of a game for the entire population of the Oasis. There's 3 keys in 3 different zones throughout the entire galaxy of the Oasis. This place is literally universe is big, and whoever finds the 3 keys becomes the new owner of the Oasis and earns, I think it's $500 billion. So when this gets announced all over the world, everyone goes nuts, everyone goes onto the Oasis and they want to earn this prize. So everyone in the world is hunting for these keys. The main protagonist of the book is a young guy called Wade Watts. Now ever since the tournament was announced, he's been enthralled with James Halliday. He's been watching all of the favourite movies of the guy, all of the guy's favourite games. Everything in James Halliday's world is in the Oasis, and people have been researching into it and going on forums and message boards and just trying to find out all these clues for where the key is. So ensues a giant clusterfuck of nerdy things happening for the characters to find out where the keys are, and then getting the keys and then moving on to the next key to finally finish the challenge. Now I am personally a huge gamer. I love movies, I love TV series, I love everything pop culture. I love movies of the 80s. So when I heard about this book, well obviously it's been made into a film, I heard about the film first, but I just fell in love with the concept of this because I just knew there's going to be tons of Easter eggs and references that I was just going to lap up just because I love that kind of thing. I'm basically an encyclopedia myself for all this pop culture nerd shit, so this book is basically aimed at me. So this book is just filled to the brim with references and things from movies, games, TV shows that I love, and it just puts a smile on your face when you're reading these things and the way they're done. And I guess part of the way the book works is you don't really have to use your imagination too much because you already have all this pop culture knowledge and imagery that you don't really have to do too much work to picture how the thing's going, so you have like a really good envisionment of how it all plays out. Ready Player One isn't all sunshine and rainbows though. Ernest Cline does a good job of like picturing this whole world and how things work, and it's very detailed on how people live their lives and how the Oasis works and how people make money and how they can teleport between zones and the economy and all this kind of thing. So it really gives you a good detailed analysis of how this whole like post-apocalyptic world works. And I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like an absolute nightmare. The Oasis sounds amazing. That thing, if that was real, I would fucking love that. But in the circumstances of this being in this world where everything's gone to shit, that is their only escape. They just sit around in there all day playing on the Oasis, because what else are they going to do? Sit in a shack? Like the way they describe it is that people are like, there's like murderers and crooks all outside of the junkyard, so the safest place to be is inside their house just on the Oasis, and that's how they live their entire lives basically. The book is also very deep. I guess it all comes down to how far you want to go into it, but this thing has a lot of like political messages within it. Like one of the big plot points of this is that the huge conglomerate company, the IOI I think it's called, the Sixers, this is a huge multi-billion-dollar company, and obviously they want to own the Oasis so they can do whatever they want with it. So we have this struggle between the underdog versus the company which has every advantage possible. We get a good idea of how the IOI company runs things and how they disregard everyone but themselves and how selfish they are, and it's really a running commentary on some of the big companies that are around in today's society and how things could possibly go in the near future. Another big message in this I also think is how it's talking about like the online community really. So people have been playing Xbox Live and talking to people on Facebook and Instagram and all these social media things, and on those social media platforms those people can be portrayed as like the coolest guy in the world, and some of the characters in this are brought up to be the coolest person in the world on there, but when they get out of the social media environment or the Oasis, they're just a nobody sitting in a shack. And you really get the balance between when you go in between both worlds, how Wade is living like a tramp and he's not really happy at all. And then when he's in the oasis, you see how everyone's flocking to him because he has like information, or he has a clue or something like that along those lines, without going into any spoilers. So he's like the number one guy on the leaderboard. Everyone wants to be Wade Watts, and in the real world he is just this weird kid who's living in a shack watching 1,000 movies a day. And this is like what a lot of people do in real life. I think this is a very well balanced book. It goes through all the different motions of showing you how good the oasis is, how people's home life isn't that great, the company struggles, and just what happens in the downtime when they're not finding keys, what they're actually doing. And there's also a romantic element to the book, which I thought was kind of the only downside a little bit. It worked really well, but at the same time it felt like more of a fantasy. I know this is a fantasy book, but it felt like it didn't feel very real in a way. These two people who were connecting online when they've never met each other, and they're basically falling in love. And I guess that stuff does really happen, but from the perspective of the characters, it felt a bit weird. And I guess the characters weren't exactly the most socially active people, so I can see why things would be a little different in the future. The build up in Ready Player One is great. As they are getting from gate to gate to finding the keys, you can just feel the build up of the competition, how people are getting more involved with the whole Oasis challenge, and things are just getting bigger and the stakes are getting higher as well. The consequences from the game are actually coming over into the real life of the characters, which I thought was a really good way to balance out the parts of the book in between it being in a video game and actually being in real life. Because at the end of the day, especially if you're watching the movie version, you can't watch a whole movie about someone being sat in a chair, because the stakes aren't there if they're just sitting in the chair and nothing's real. So they do a really good job of making both types of the story work well and have stakes of their own. The climax of this book, there is a huge battle. Everyone knows there's going to be a huge battle. Everyone's seen the trailer for the movie. This was just so damn epic. The references, the characters that are being put into it are just things that would make like an 80s kid just like smile. I was born in the 90s, but I know a lot of shit from the 80s pop culture, and I was just smiling from ear to ear. And I really hope they nail that battle in the movie, because that's one of the best parts of the book, and I really hope that they don't change that too much. The characters in the book are really fun. There's three main characters, I would say, which is Wade Watts, Artemis and H. I think these are three characters who are in the high part of the race to get the Easter egg. There's also the leader of the IOI company, Nolan Sorrento. He's a really villainous bastard, and I can't wait to see him in the film, because he's being played by Ben Mendelsohn, who always plays a good villain. And he just plays this ultimate douchey corporate leader who you would expect to just be a bastard who doesn't care about anyone else except for money, really. James Halliday, although he wasn't really in the book as per se, as he was the guy who created the game, and he shows up in the video logs and stuff that they read, he was an awesome character. And like his love for pop culture and knowledge of these movies and games, he just reminded me of myself, and I just really love the character of James Halliday. If you love games, if you love movies, if you love TV series, if you love sci-fi, if you love any of those things, you're bound to find something you will enjoy in this book. I will say though that the book is very heavy on the way it plays like a game. So there's a lot of terms in this which are from like an MMO game, so you're basically playing through the game. So if you don't know these terms, it might be a little hard to pick up on how it actually works, because some of these things I know like firsthand from playing those type of games. To me it was just seamless. I read it because I played all those type of games and I know exactly how they work, so I knew all the things going on. If you haven't really played any games at all, then it might be a little bit more of a learning curve to figure out all the terms and how they all work together to portray the story as it's supposed to be read. Which also is another point for the references being made. Even like I'm a huge nerd, and there's a lot of references from the 80s, really deep cuts that I didn't get at all, and they didn't really affect my viewing of it. But I imagine if people aren't versed in pop culture at all, some of the jokes or some of the things they might go way over their heads. So I would say having a good knowledge of pop culture, so even just like the main popular things like Star Wars and things like that, would definitely improve your enjoyment of this. That's all I've really got to say for this video. This is off the cuff. I didn't do a script or anything like that. I really wanted to get the video out ASAP because I'm going to watch the movie in a couple of days, so I thought I wouldn't let the movie judge my book review, so I wanted to get the book review out first. So this has been my book review for Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on the book. Let me know how you think it's going to hold up towards the movie. If you've already seen the movie, let me know your thoughts on it. Obviously try and keep it spoiler free. That's all I've really got to say, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.